Welcome to Center of Light, all my beautiful, sexy human friends. Family. We're all family, aren't we? Things are moving. Things are turning within themselves. Yet the momentum is picking up. Are you keeping up? It can be tough. And if it is tough, you need to be keeping up because the potential for it to get greater and the tougher can overwhelm you. I've been saying this for years. You need help. Not that you're broken. You just need a glass of water and one that's just out of your reach and someone can reach one to you. I can be that guy. Contact me. If you want such things, if you're in a spin, you're not broken. You're just in a spin. You just don't know how to balance yourself. November 13th starts on Wednesday, I think 7 p.m. Central Time. I'm going to start doing my Power, Connection, Purpose 6-week Bust You Wide Open course. We're going to do some PCP, y'all. We're going to play with the angels, some angel dust, Power, Connection, Purpose, PCP. Online video form just like you see now. 4 models for alignment. You are salivating already. 4 models for alignment. And you will have an immediate experience. It's sort of, because I love you beyond measure, spiritual shortcut, that you will have an immediate experience. That's a lot of questions. That's a loaded response in it. There's a lot in there I have to back up. Question and answer. But throughout the entire course, during the day, if you have something awesome happening and you want to share it because of your unfolding, send me a message during the day. If I'm on my computer and you see it, you have a question about your unfolding, hey Keith, can you help me? I say, what's up, dog? And we'll get right down to business. Very small fee is required. This is a high-level course. High. Of course, let's level up. Level in is forward. Inward is upward. Upward is forward. Toward something. Let's go there. Send me a message in this form. Hey, Keith, I'm interested in your course. That's happening November 13th for 6 weeks. I'll send you the details. But what it requires mostly from you is yourself. All of you. You want to put your big boy or big girl pants on? Let's get in there and make a sandwich. July 31st, 2020. I like the way that sounds. July 31st. Excuse me, July 31st, 2020. July 31st, 2020. It's got a ring to it, right? The magic number I want you to hold vision with me. Just know I want you to often, when you think of Keith or you see a post in your feed of Keith, just think 3,500 in your head and send it to me or send it out. Just 3,500. That's all you got to do, 3,500. Okay? July 31st, 2020, 30 years of development I put into this beautiful idea of what I understand from soul to bones, and I'm ready to have all of my illusions shattered. That'll be the next book, right? Called Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. Worldwide Publishing. Gavin Lee Davies is an amazing man. I love him. 30 years. 6 books. I'm excited. I should be. 30 years. And when you open the book, you're not really opening the book. You're opening yourself to take an honest look. In so doing, you will receive the center of light. Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. Take a short pause. We're going to get to my guest tonight, referred to me by Gavin Lee Davies, guy who got me the book deal. Guy. I called him a guy. Yeah, let's keep it a guy. I like him as a guy, and he's a really cool one at that. Tonight, my guest is Susan Plunket, and we are going to be speaking about the ETs are coming, and you're going to love them. How much more fun can that possibly be? What else do you have to do tonight? I'll see you in a minute. Let's see what we're going to play tonight. Just to Know You There, my spiritual band, Lavender Soul. We're coming out with a new album within a year. We're starting the writing process now. Made of members of the Memphis Symphony Orchestra. It's just a really cool, fun, ambient, spiritual thing.
I lift you up to your most high. Cherish the time when you walk by. I see you in my life for all time. I've touched your face 1,000 lifetimes. I know the way you talk in rhymes. The breath you take is part of mine. As you float before my eyes, you touch my hand, it makes me cry. Just to know you're there, just to know you're there. So here we go again, lifeless ones with a friend, another chance to let love in. And in another life, our eyes will meet one more time. I see you in my life for all time. As you float before my eyes, touch my hand, it makes me cry. Just to know you're there.
I'm having a moment. I'm not showboating. I'm having a moment. Welcome to Center of Light. What was that? I'll tell you shortly, in a short way. And then we'll get my guest on for tonight. I don't know what that was. I don't want to label what that was. I don't want to restrict, pigeonhole, or judge what that was. I'm grateful for what that was. Welcome to Center of Light. Tonight, my guest is Susan Plunket, and we are speaking about the ETs are coming, and you are going to love them. I got a snot. I'm sorry. Shirt needs to be washed. Let me tell you a little bit about my guest tonight. Thank you for your patience with me. Susan Plunket is a writer and a psychologist in a private practice in New York City. She received her doctorate at the New School for Social Research in 1989. Her first book, When Every Breath Becomes a Prayer. Wow! Boy, that's exciting, my last experience. Reflects her interest in Jungian dream analysis and people who have had an experience of the numinous as a result of emotional pain. Her life is in... Maybe this is synchronistic. Google just went off. Wow. Her first book, When Every Breath Becomes a Prayer, reflects her interest in Jungian dream analysis and people who have had an experience of the numinous as a result of emotional pain. Her life is informed by the belief that it is our attitude, what a big word that is, towards our suffering which determines our growth. Her new book, Mission from Venus, I'm a virgin as well, pushes, this writing is kind of strange to me, pushes further into the fantasy worlds of the fifth and sixth dimensions. She lives with her family in Greenwich Village, unfortunately, still in the third dimension. I just posted a group of links into the forum. Let me do that once again, and we're going to bring my sister to Center of Light Radio. Now, what I want to say first, if I may, is in the green room, my guest tonight she and I talked about the fact why not why, don't read too much into it, why she's not going to be in camera, which is like this. So same screen. There was no reason other than just for whatever reason she chose, and that's irrelevant. But in my talking about this, Google just fired off. So what I want to ask you, Susan, welcome to Central High Light Radio, dear. Everyone, welcome, Susan.
Hi, everyone.
Susan, if you want to share, what was this thing you mentioned? Not that it applies to you, but this thing you mentioned about this, why your camera's not on, is that something that we all should know?
Well, when Edward Snowden, maybe everybody heard of him, revealed that NSA was spying on all of us, he suggested that we just don't, in general, use our cameras. He said we should block them because the government can watch us anytime our computer screen is open. So I've never used my camera since then. It's been years.
I'm in a lot of trouble. I let my light just do what it wants to do. But thank you. Welcome to Center of Light, dear. I'm glad you're here. You came in by high request of the Big G. Brother G is what I call him. I love Gavin. And the next thing you know, he showed up in the room. Thank you, Gavin, for being here. It means a lot. So tell me about you. What's going on in what is it like to be Susan in that the ETs are coming and you're going to love them?
Well, what I mean by that is that I believe, at least my guides have told me, that there are about 70 million beings from the fifth and sixth dimension incarnate now on Earth to help Earth make the jump from the third dimension to the fourth dimension. And in about 2011, I was told that I was a channel, but I was afraid. I was afraid to channel anything because I didn't know what would come through. So a few years went by, and then in 2015, I was told again that I should be writing and that if I would just sit down, everything would come through. But I was still afraid, so I wrote another book. I wrote the book you mentioned, When Every Breath Becomes a Prayer. But then I was told a third time by someone channeling archangels that I would just be given a trilogy. And if I would just have the courage to open the channel, it would come through. And it was amazing. I don't know what your experience was with John Hunt Publishing and Gavin, but I almost don't know how they got the manuscript. I know that I must have sent it, but I don't remember sending it. All I knew was I got an email back saying that they were interested in it. And that was the first one. And then they said, don't waste your time. Write the second one because people don't like to wait. And what the first one is about, Mission from Venus, is about extraterrestrials who are now here among us, helping us, and that because there's a rule around Earth, the laws around Earth say that you can't just pop into this dimension and land here in your spaceship and take over because there's a quarantine. And so if you really want to help, you have to go through the arduous thing of being born as a human and growing up from a baby into an adult. And then you have to wake up and remember that you're an extraterrestrial. And then your powers will start to come back to you. And, this has been going on for a very long time. I mean, I believe that George Washington was a wanderer, Thomas Jefferson, Jesus, Buddha, Tesla. There are many wanderers from the past and many now among us. I believe about over 70 million from higher dimensions trying to remind us that everything is about love, and it is light which creates love. And so I sit down every day at the computer and I just write what comes out. And it never seems to dry up. And I don't see them, I sense them around me, giving me, like, dropped from heaven, unasked information that they want everyone to know.
This is a silly, because I know you know the answer, but important question. This experience, these moments that you're having, that you have, when you feel them, obviously you know it's some part of you and they're just your tribe and your family unit on the galactic level. Do you still feel more of the presence of them, or do you feel it as you, as a multi-level being living somewhere? I mean, do you see it as you coming here, or do you still see it as you, the receiver?
I still see it as me, the receiver, although it is possible they can be me in alternate universes or me in past lives, but I still feel it, that I'm receiving it, that it isn't me, that it is coming in. But I'm very grateful to them and I thank them. And a few days ago, I was giving a reading in a bookstore uptown, a bookstore called Shakespeare and Company. And the lady, Francois, who was in charge of events, said, "Oh my God, thank God," she said. "I don't know who you brought with you, but our air conditioner's been broken for 4 days. We've had the repairman come in 3 times. It wasn't working. And then whatever energy came in with you, it just went on." And I guess it must have been them doing it. 'Cause I don't know about anything mechanical.
How does it feel to be you, just the you, right? And all of a sudden you shift into a bandwidth where things are a little swirly and a little cosmic-y and a little all that cool stuff, right? How does it feel? What word would you use to describe it? For me, it's just blissful. You have a word?
Yeah, I love that it's blissful for you. I'm getting used to it. I'm getting used to this magic that I was afraid of for so many years. But I notice it has effects in other parts of my life. It makes me calmer and more accepting of the human condition. And it also makes me less afraid of other things. Like a few years ago, I was at a weekend workshop where you stayed over, and it had used to be a sanitarium, and a lot of people had been there for healing and many died, and I was sleeping. And I opened my eyes and there was this man in pajamas bending over me, regarding me, and I screamed and he vanished. I was terrified of ghosts back then. I knew that he was just a soul that needed guidance to cross over into the light, that he hadn't found his way, but he scared me. But then since that time, I saw a beautiful young woman in a white dress, and I walked toward her and we just walked through each other, and it was just peaceful and calm, and it didn't frighten me. And I think it's because I finally opened up to receive the information about love and light and what we needed to do to make the leap with planet Earth into the 4th dimension. We needed to be able to hold enough light, each of us as individuals, in order to vibrate at a level where we could stay on Earth in the 4th dimension. So it has made me less anxious about things.
You know, Susan, I can see. I'll brag. I can see. And for me, seeing doesn't require my eyes. It requires all of me. And I can hear someone else say the exact same words that you have just spoken to all of us. It's just words. But I can literally hear your connectivity. I can hear it. I can feel it. I can see it. And you're very clear, articulate. There's a tone to your voice. For me, it's blissful. That's what happened just a little bit ago when I went to that, whatever that was.
I saw that.
Do you have those moments of depth that move you, just whether you get dramatic and you go into a crying spell, or that shift you into a space of, wow, where is this going? I'm letting go, but I just want more of it. Do you ever have those kinds of moments?
I do, and I not often, but they're very precious. And had one last year. I mean, probably I've had others since then, but one very intense one last year in public. I was at a goddess workshop, and I was talking about twin flames. Specifically, I was talking about Lord Sananda and Lady Nada, who were incarnate here as Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And when I say their names, I get so overwhelmed with love. Like they're my friends. Like I know them from somewhere. And I mean, it's happening a little now, but it really happened at that workshop. I was just like swept away by the concept of who they are and the love that they brought to the planet when they walked on Earth, and that they still are Kohans, and they look over the planet and try to help us awaken.
That image I just put on the screen does that to me. That's my guru for now. At first, it was Satya Sai Baba. It was Jesus. It goes through all these different phases.
Oh, I love Satya Sai Baba.
Yeah. And Swamji, the picture I just showed, came into my life 6-7 years ago. I get to physically be with this Lord Datta Shiva. I mean, it's this space within all of us that is just so robust and true and powerful, and that does that for me. So it's great to share that with you and play that sister brother. Hey sis, hey bro, this is what's happening to me. That's amazing. Thank you. So let me ask you, let's get a little deep here. This is not for ratings, this is for my fun. How are your sleep, non-sleep, whatever it takes, excursions with others? And because the title of the show is ETs and not avatars, let's play with the ETs a little bit. Okay. Do you have these experiences often? I have them, Susan. I consider myself an extraterrestrial target. The other night I had an experience with the gentleman I had on Center of Light Radio 3 days ago, Brian Harden. I woke up in the state of consciousness, and I was so aware. I was aware in that moment. There was a Keith somewhere laying on a body, sleeping, and I thought to myself, he actually thinks what he experiences called reality. What does it feel like to be you now, Keith? And I was standing aboard a craft with Brian, with 2 8-foot white milky beings, very human-like. Maybe like Prometheus kind of thing, but not so Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of thing. But they acted like California surfers, and they were just 2 cool dudes hanging out in this spaceship. And it was, do you have these kind of nutty things?
I don't have them in the sense that I feel that I'm there. I dream sometimes that I am, but I think of them as dreams. So it's not where it's as real as what you say. But sometimes I also can't remember when I wake up in the morning who I am in this dimension. And I've been married before. I'm not married now. But when I was married, I once said to my husband, I recognize you. I said, good morning, I recognize you, but who am I in this dimension? And he said, you're Susan Plunket, and you're married to me. And I knew that I had come back to this dimension, but I didn't know where I had been. So I don't have as clear as you where I see myself or see these beings. When I'm writing, out of the corner of my eye, I sense them and sometimes see them, but not at night. I can't bring those experiences back.
It sounds like you're an endless reservoir. Well, that's obvious, right? It just doesn't stop. In fact, have you had to create boundaries, excuse me, for yourself or for them, or not today, not today. I just can't do it today. Or you give them certain time. I mean, at first for me, I couldn't stop. It was like they were infinite
Yep.
intelligences standing at a payphone booth, all waiting to use the phone to call me. It's like, what
Mm.
the fuck is that?
Wow. I well, as I said earlier, I was very fearful in the beginning, like in 2011 when I was first told. Um, Now I feel like their time is when I sit down to write, and they don't, as a rule, except sometimes when I'm working in my office with patients, they will drop an idea into my head. I know it's them that I'm supposed to say to the person. But other than that, they it's when I write in the morning. And after I come back from the park with the dog and check emails and straighten out appointments, then I write and I give that time. And sometimes I have to filter who is what I'm going to take in, who I'm going to listen to. But then when I stop writing, it's peaceful, unless I'm in my office with a client and they want me to say something to that person. Then it just dropped from heaven unasked, and I say it. But I know that it didn't come from me. So I'm not besieged because I think I was afraid for so long that now they're very gentle with me. They're very loving and don't overwhelm me.
Susan, why did you name, though I think we briefly touched on it, tonight's show, the ETs are coming and you're going to love them. Who are these things? Who are they? And what makes them so awesome that we're just going to dig it?
Um, because they're the wanderers. They're the ones that they've incarnated as, well, in the book, Mission from Venus, I follow 8 ETs or 8 fifth dimensional beings as they get born on Earth and grow up and wake up and realize that they're more than human, that they're higher dimensional beings. But we love them because they're so loving. They don't mean any ill, and they try to make us get in touch with the love that we are, and to realize that the divine is not out there somewhere in the sky. The divine is in every single being, every rock, every tree, every human, every turtle. And that's the lesson, the word that they bring, that we are all divine and we are all God. It's not some man in the sky. It is you and me. We all make up God. And they also try to protect us from the Dark Lords of Orion and Draco, who want to control us and enslave us for their own power, because they believe that their path back to source is through controlling other people. And the more people that they control, the more powerful they become. And you can proceed back towards source to a certain extent on the dark path. But after the 6th dimension, you can't go any further, and you have to make the leap to the light path. At least that's the information that I've gotten. So they want humans as much as possible to understand their own divinity. And that was, I believe, the lesson of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, his twin flame, that God is everyone.
There's this little girl. I'm going to invent a location It's a real story. I just don't remember the location. So this little girl lives in Nepal or whatever. She lives on the coast. And for many, many years, people from all over the world, tourist attraction, but not meant to be, but people would find her so they can come watch this little girl summons the whales, right? So this young girl, young child, just divine cherub of a child, says, they come in the village and someone asked her on the interview or something to do the effect of, how do you call the whales? She says, I just go to the same place inside that we all speak the same language.
Mm,
And then that
exactly.
kind of sums up what you were just saying, how they're just expressions of the whale, the me, the child. The divine is everything. It's omnipresent. So what do you think life is going to be like? Actually, let's do this after the break. I'm going to ask you the question. What is life going to be like when they are on TV and it's actual 51% shifted? Everybody's going, wow, this is actually a live news broadcast. What's going to happen? We're going to be right back. Center of Light Radio. My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard. My guest tonight is Susan Plunket. We're speaking about the ETs are coming and you are going to love them. Be right back.
Remember that all things are possible. You must choose to be accountable, responsible, enough to believe, and open your heart to receive.
Above and look at your life, and you see the life you live. Can you be surprised that it all turned out this way and not the way you planned? It's about what you know and what you understand. Choice, life's a choice. It's a choice. Your life is a choice. Choice, life's a choice. It's a choice. Your life is a choice. Learn to follow that inner voice inside. That's the one that
Welcome back to Center of Light Radio. Tonight, my guest is Susan Plunket, and we are talking about the ETs are coming, and you're going to love them. I have been posting periodically in the forum tonight a group of links that you could find more about my guest tonight, what she's up to, and all that cool stuff. Let me bring her back onto the show, at least the image of her. Okay, so my PC froze, but everyone can still hear me, so that is good. So y'all gonna be looking at my mug all night. Welcome back to Center of Light Radio, dear. How are you?
Good. Happy to be back with you.
How do you think the world is going to be different? I don't mean this in a doom and gloom, but how do you think, just from what is happening now, using your level of intuition and perception and balance as your gauge and all the cool stuff, how do you think it's going to be received? Well, of course, they probably won't. I'm thinking out loud. They probably won't show up until the time is better, or right, more so. How do you think all that's going to just go down?
I think when Earth moves into the fourth dimension, it will be paradise on Earth, because I think all the people that can hold enough light to be fourth dimensional beings will continue to reincarnate on Earth in the fourth dimension. And the people that have those will be the people that have chosen service to others, so that we're all in service to one another. But the people that are only in service to self, that have chosen the dark path, will have to reincarnate on a different third dimensional planet and try again for another period of 75,000 years to learn the lesson of love. So if you learn your lesson, if we learn our lessons that we are all divine and we are all the same and we are all made of love and light, then we can make the leap to the fourth dimension on Earth, and it will be a paradise, because the people that insist on being in service only to self, the greedy, those who don't see the connection, they will still continue to evolve, but they won't be able to be on Earth in paradise, because they can't hold enough light and they wouldn't be able to tolerate the vibration. So they'll go to another third dimensional planet, either in this galaxy or some other galaxy, and they will strive to learn more about love and light, and then eventually they'll make it to the fourth dimension. Because we all keep moving, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, sixth dimension, and I believe the requirement is how much light your vehicle can hold, how you're vibrating with the light. So to answer your question, I think it will be paradise where there is brotherhood of men and love and all those ideals that we dream of making a reality.
God, this is so the same thing I am said in a very different way is so verbatim. I say that suddenly through the silence, the new world appears. Donald Trump, politics, the Democrats and Republicans and libtards, fighting racism, just allowing that reality to affect you. Doesn't mean we don't have compassion. We feel for it deeply. It is what it is, and I call it noise. It's not blaming. It is what it is. It's an unconscious noise, because if everyone's conscious, the very prophecy you are speaking about would be manifested on the earth. So it's about taking responsibility and to realize that if I just pull back enough to realize that what I may call as bad could be liberating to some, and vice versa. And we can play this game over and over, but when we step back from it all, it's just a cosmic divine dance. I think people are beginning to see that they're not in control. I want to ask you that I've been told, and I kind of understand it, that extraterrestrials are beings that have bodies but also can choose not to have one. Angels are beings that don't have bodies and can choose to have one. Is that how you kind of see the extraterrestrial celestial expression?
I do. Um, you know, I had a long relationship with an angel, but I didn't know it was an angel. For this was about 25 years, well, before my daughter was born. So she's 25. So it was about 30 years ago. I went to this meditation every Wednesday morning for 3 hours. And one of the meditators channeled this being. And and this being was so full of love. You would just weep to be in the presence of this being, would tell all kinds of wonderful things. And I was afraid that my father was very ill and was going to die. And this being said to me at the time, well, why would you be sad? Dying is just taking off a tight shoe, and it's freedom. But in fact, your father is not going to die. But if you ask me at the moment of his death, I will come for him. And I asked him if he had ever been a human. He said, no, I've never been a human. But I didn't ask him what he was or she was. So then 15 years went by, and my father died. And I was sitting at his bedside, and I called on this being whose name was Munka. And I said, please come for my father. He's going to exit soon. But I didn't know if he came until a month later. I was talking to an intuitive, and she said, oh, golden angels came for your father, and one of them was sent by you. And that's when I knew, oh, all that time he was an angel. And that's why he told me he'd never had a body or never been a human. And just that story unfolded over like 30 years. And I was so pleased to know what he actually was. But as far as the other thing about us choosing to have bodies, my sister died of cancer a few years ago, and I was really wanting to talk to her after she died. So I found this psychologist who did life between life regression, not regression to your past life, but where you go when you're in between lives. So it took 8 hours, 2 4-hour periods. He regressed me to my past life, which I happened to have been a Japanese man, and to that death, and then where I went after that death. And where I went was so beautiful. And nobody had a body. Everybody was an oval of light, just like an oval about the size of us, of humans, but an oval. And the regressionist said to me, well, look at yourself. What do you look like? And I said, oh, I'm a blue oval. And he said, well, what's your name? And without missing a beat, I said, Sonam. And I didn't know where that name came from, but it resonated with me. And Sonam is one of the characters in Mission from Venus. So I think when we're in between our lives, we don't have this fleshy body. We're just pure light. And then we take on this chemical battery-like physical form. We take on some borrowed atoms. We borrow atoms from the center of a dying red star, and we use them while we're here on Earth. And then when we die, we just give the atoms back, and they become something else, a candle or a tree or something, But right now, you and me and everybody listening, we have our borrowed atoms in the configuration, with a bipedal body with 10 digits on each of our appendages, and we have eyes, and, there are other beings that don't look like us.
And it's convincingly real. And
Yeah.
it's a joyous ride. I'm loving the ride. But Wendy asked from the chat room. Wendy, hello, girl. What's up, sis star, cosmic sis star? She says, are you still with me, dear?
Are you talking to me or Wendy?
To you, because I heard this amazing static noise as if it was a signal from SETI or something come into my ear. I just didn't know if you spontaneously human combusted or something.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it was just really loud. Either way, Wendy asked the question: how can we hold more light when suffering in a human experience? You want to go first to share
Okay.
with our sisters some thoughts about how we can kind of make that not so?
Right. I think the question of suffering, like the question of evil, is a very hard one for humans. But I think for our consciousness to develop, that evil is kind of necessary so that we can contrast it with, and so that we can make a choice, because this is a planet where free will is supposed to be the law. So you have to have free will to choose whatever, to choose the dark or the light. And part of, personally, what I believe about, so that's what I believe about evil that happens. But what I believe about suffering is that the higher self offers our human catalysts for our growth. And when we're in between lives, we take a plate full of catalysts. Okay, I'll try that. I'll try the death of my child, or I'll try a disease, or I'll try being born crippled or deaf or blind, because that'll help me grow. But then when we get born, we don't remember that our higher self, we planned that because we wanted to wake up, and we forget that, and then we're just suffering. And we have to get to the point where we say, I'm the creator of my life, and karmically I wanted this. I didn't realize I was piling too much on my plate. But I don't, I think we can bear what we get. And I like to think of it that way because it helps me through the hard times. Like that there's a meaning to it. There's a reason for it. I don't think it's that we did bad karma and we decided and then we're getting punished. No, I don't think that. I think it's a catalyst from the higher self so that we can awaken and hold more light.
I would like to offer the same thing on the other side of the coin ish. I understand everything you said, but in a now way, and in this life kind of way, in a very different divine way, is that suffering doesn't mean you didn't stub your toe. Oh my God, you stubbed it so hard you broke it on the furniture. Oh my God, you cracked it, right? It hurt. It was painful. But you don't go into self induced suffering because you've bodily injured yourself. But when it becomes emotional, we tend to choose suffering over seeing something as a flat out, organic, non biased experience. It was just an experience. And we lean and then we start looking at fault ourselves, other people, or the very fact that this is even happening. I'm suffering. Oh my God, people pray for me. Can I get an amen, Jesus, baby Jesus? I'm suffering. And I'm not making fun, I'm making light, bringing something to light, because it's a part of us that we often know out of habit just to suffer, be it that we came from a family that was in an older paradigm that just like to suffer, and we got to shake those shackles off of our ankles. What are your thoughts, dear?
Yeah, I agree. I think the pain is in the reaction. If you just say, okay, this is just happening, this is just happening, I don't have to get attached to it. I don't have to, because when we start to react, we can make things really hard on ourselves. I think that's a good point you just made there. Does Wendy feel satisfied with our answers?
That's thank you. I love that question. That's phenomenal. She's responding to her brand new old cosmic sister. Wendy, did you get the answer that you wanted, dear? There's a 30-second lag for the feed to catch
Yeah.
up. Thank you for being here, everyone. I am posting again. I am so digging this conversation, truly. Wow, I lost the links. In this form somewhere, there is a group of links. I will paste them again shortly to my guest tonight, Susan Plunket. And we're talking about the ETs are coming, and you're going to love them. I love my... Boy, I live near an industrial train station. Check this out. Do you feel that rumble? Or hear it?
Mm.
It's just the whole ground is shaking. I have these experiences and I love them. I When I do have them, I feel so large. I feel so non insignificant. I just feel connected to a group of something that is not just me and my friends or my family and my township and my state and my county and my country and my continent and this is just something so fairy dust like. It's just so different. Um, are you integrating that as a not only of now experience, but does a memory come along with that, like something long forgotten?
Hmm. I think I'm a little behind you on this path. Like you have a lot more memory and even remembering when you're on the spaceships. I'm still sort of, because I think I block things for so long, um, still paddling and finding my way and sorting through and still seeking help from shamans and intuitives and uh, and of course in my own meditation. Like when I don't know what to do, I do one of two things. I ask for the gift of a dream to answer my problem, my question, so that I know what my unconscious thinks, or hopefully my guides will speak through the dream, or I just meditate and um, and then I somehow figure out how to move because I don't get as much direct direction maybe as you do. Do you use your dreams?
I do. I do. I like also not evaluating them, but of course that monkey in there, right?
Yeah,
He wants that banana, right? And
yeah.
that's a beautiful part of all of us. But for me, I like to play the game as well as just kind of just dig the experience. But yeah, and I understand dream symbols and metaphors because what you dream is a metaphor. If you love dogs, loyalty. Come here, I just love
Mm,
dog. If you're scared shitless of a dog, then a dog showing up would be your perfect
yeah.
devil, right? So I get all that, and when I was Catholic years ago, or not Catholic, but raised Catholic before I took this path, if I had a dream or an experience with some lower vibrational entity that wanted to pinch my toes when I'm sleeping like a devil coming out of a closet under the bed thing,
Mm,
I'd wake up sweating buckshot.
mm.
Today, they bring reinforcements. I'm like, you better go find somebody else to pick on. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll, I'll blast you with light. So I'm getting really,
That's great.
I've actually had experiences when I'm surrounded by 5, 6, 7 beings that are not, you don't want as you're in your nightclub.
Yeah,
I will grab them around the neck and pull them to me and kiss them and tell them I love them. They don't want no part of that. And
yeah,
they just go
yeah.
away. Hello,
If there's
Chris
too
Cook.
much light, they
My
can't take it.
my brother Chris Cook just showed up in the room. Susan, Chris Cook is another you and I. We would be actually from the same cookie cutter of many years ago, hanging out when we all kind of started unfolding into our awakening kind of thing. Chris meet Susan, Susan meet Chris.
Hi, Chris.
So, what do you have coming down the pike for you, dear, other than a life filled with bliss and unfolding? What are some events, some books you plan to write, some visions for yourself if you want to share?
Well, um, now that Mission from Venus is out, the next one, which I've given to Gavin and John Hunt Publishing, is called The Wanderers on Earth. And so it's the experience of these incarnate ETs and what they get up to on Earth. And now I've started the third book of the trilogy. And I don't know what it is yet because they haven't downloaded it into my hands in my computer yet. So, but they will start soon. I've Now that I've launched this first one, I feel it's them gathering. So more writing, definitely more writing, and I'll continue making a living by seeing people in my office, and continue loving my cats and dog and daughter and friends and fellow creatures, trees. I love trees, and trees sometimes give me messages in the park, and that makes me really happy. So just more of the same for me. Getting ready to say goodbye to my brother, who's getting ready to cross over. He has cancer. So there'll be that to process in the next couple of months. But many good things as well. And just helping him embrace that, he's going to be free. And he will be in another form, but his consciousness will continue. So what's coming down the pike for you?
I don't know. Strangely, like you, I'm assuming, I like it that way. It's all good. I'm really good at feeling what is on the onset for me, what is about to show up. I can tell that very well, at least to this point. John Hunt's publishing 6 books. Gavin Lee Davies, we're about to go to the marketing phase. You know this very well. So we did all the production and all that. So now the marketing, probably after the first of the year, and then we start push. Push, giving birth. So giving birth, and we're gonna, Gavin and I, he's my Lamaste coach. And I'm glad I got to go fall out of you, sister. I love it. Ride that wave. That's an ET for you right there. So Gavin's going to be my, what's the word I'm looking for? I just said it.
Lamaze teacher.
Lamaze coach. He's going to help me push this
Your
book
midwife.
into being. Yes, my midwife. And we're going to push this book into being. So as I said earlier, everyone, remember the number. If you see one of my posts, if you got the time just to type in under anything, just go 3,500. That's all you got to write.
3,500.
3,500. And one day, in fact, I'll do an entire presentation around 3,500. What that means, I'll do all the numerology about 3 and 5, and we combine those, and it's going to be crazy. Are you into all that crazy stuff, girl? Do you like just playing in the field of spirituality and just kind of letting go and finding what does and what doesn't make sense to you, and you find what you like and you just move into it all the way? Yeah.
I do. I feel that too. I like the way you play with words. Have you told Gavin yet that he's your midwife?
Not yet. I actually
gonna crack up.
When I go into those moments, like you, I'm sure many of us, when I close my eyes and I get into that thing, that's not what I know, or many people would know as Keith the guy. I start vesseling, and I don't know why, Susan, but rhymes or a dimes a dozen, my cosmic cousin, they just come out of me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Because they're double entendric, triple entendric, tandric. And so I go into this whole spin of everything possible and creating smaller gaps. That's how I know I'm going beyond what I call just Keith, washing the dishes or doing a task kind of thing. How does it feel for you? What does it feel like to be in that current field? Is it swirly? Do you just feel expanded, or what is that all encompassing for you?
I love the feeling of expansion, and but I get it mostly from meditating. If I don't meditate every day, I get rattled and anxious, and lose my center. I'm a Libra, so when we get out of balance, we just get whacked. We're ruled by Venus, so if we can keep in balance, we're very loving. But where I play around in the spirituality is different types of meditation. Sometimes I just meditate on light and breath. I mean, do you meditate?
When it all started, that's all I would do. Over the years, I've integrated my life as a meditation. I do miss formal meditation, and I am worthy of it because I haven't been doing it except when I go to bed. But I truly, Susan, just spending time with you and hearing someone else getting fired up and fired off and fired in and all those cool things that are just like, this is so rich. If only everyone in the world could have just one sliver of this. Oh my God. That is so my deal.
That
That's
is
just
the
so my deal. I
that is
meditate.
so lovely.
Yeah, I'm meditating right now. My beautiful son, who is off camera, he's sitting over here.
Oh,
14 years old. He understands who he is. He's doing his phone thing. It's cool. He's got a phone. He loves learning science and engineering, and he's developing or growing that tank of knowledge, and he lets his dad do his spiritual thing. So I'm in that place. I am definitely fourth for sure, and my intention is to always be fifth. And I fuck numbers. My intention is to be in ecstasy and bliss, and that's what fires me up, sister. Is to just share that love nugget with people. I get off on that. It makes me spiritually horny. Seriously.
I loved it when you said you wished everyone could have a sliver.
A sliver.
You just wished everyone could like feel the universe dwells in a state of cosmic orgasm. And if we can just connect to that, each of us, we would all be so much happier. I'm so much happier now that I don't block the channeling, now that I allow it. I was fighting it for so long, and life is just much happier when you're wanting everybody to have even a sliver of that love, that cosmic love.
That in fact we can call the sliver equals event horizon. If you have a sliver of that, there is no turn. You can't get out of. You're gone. You have no choice but then to surrender. From the chat room, Wendy asked two very cool questions. Wendy asked a question, can't hardly, we were talking about dreams earlier, can't hardly remember my dreams, but wake up in conversations to rationalize my current concerns. Am I talking with my guides? Absolutely you are. This is not just some pseudo spirituality. You are talking to your guides. If you were the single point and there was a hierarchy and a hierarchy and a hierarchy from zero to infinity, kind of what you are. But there's another half that does the opposite. Point being that if your guides have a higher consciousness as to why they're guiding you, because if you were guiding them, you would be their guides. Anything that comes across your conscious experience that represents that which I just said, that is your guides. It's not a something separate from you. It's an aspect of your own consciousness that we have not yet fully graduated into, as to why I still feel like this is me and that's them. And that's a phenomenal, very cool space to be in. That is where the seed is starting to pop open. What are your thoughts, sister?
No, I agree with you, but I'd like to offer to Wendy that it doesn't have to be either or. She can have a conversation with her guides, but she could also have a conversation with aspects of her unconscious and the collective unconscious, which both speak to us in our dreams. And everyone dreams every night. The way to remember your dreams, Wendy, is to, before you sleep, ask for the gift of a dream. And it is a gift. It is a gift from another aspect of your own being who wants to comment on your affairs. Like if you could have advice from someone who knew you better than anyone in the whole world, your million-year-old self, you'd want it. That's what your dreams are. And it's like a muscle. If you work the muscle, it'll get stronger. So if you ask each night, and you may have to ask for a week, could I have the gift of a dream? Ask your unconscious, could I have the gift of a dream? And then when you wake up, before you open your eyes and realize, oh, it's Tuesday, I'm going to be talking to Keith tonight, you've got to catch that dream by the tail and climb up and get it by the throat. Because once you're fully awake and you know your name and the day, then you're in secondary process thinking, and you're not in, and dreams don't live in secondary process. They live in primary process, where the room where Keith is sitting can be at the North Pole or in your house in your dream, because there's total freedom in the unconscious to move everything around. That's primary process. But once you know the date, you're in secondary process and the dream is gone into the mist. So grab that tail fast, Wendy.
As I said, Susan, I can hear literally, and I know this because I know myself, I can feel your level of connectivity. You may say, well, can you stop all that up? I can hear your level of absolute connectivity. There is a wellspring alive in all of us, but you are, sister, you are truly aware of that wellspring in you. And in that consciousness of it, you open up the gate, the valve more, and now those waters are begin to move. Does that an accurate description of how it may feel since this has been flooding your life?
Yeah, it does feel like that. You know, I keep seeing Satya Sai Baba bobbing around your head, and it's so beautiful to see him. I have his photo where he's standing next to the elephant. You might know that photo. He's standing next to his elephant friend.
Gita.
Yeah.
Her name, Gita.
Oh, he's just, I haven't thought of him recently, but you know how he had ash coming from his fingers. He just could produce ash from his fingers. A friend of mine went there before he died, before he crossed over, and brought me back some of that ash, and I keep it on my dresser still. That he just produced that. So cool that he's been there behind you the whole time we've been talking.
Years ago, when I found out about him, long story short, a year of reading books about him. He doesn't write books. And so he started coming to me in dreams. About a year later, he came to me in a dream and he was standing across a river. And I came to a state of consciousness because he tapped me on my spiritual knee. And I came to a state of consciousness, and he was across the river, and he begins to talk to me telepathically. He says, Keith, I want you to come to India. If you put your feet on Indian soil to go home, do this for me. I said, I would love to, I'd love to, but how do I do this? How do I do this? Basically, he goes, Keith, put all this nonsense aside. I got you back, dog. So I wake up in the morning. How will I do this? How will I do this? And I said, you know what? Out of all the books I read, this is real shit. This is fucking real shit. And I let it go. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from a lady I'd never met. Hi, Keith. My name is Debbie Jabor. Mutual friend. Got word to me that you want to go to India to see a holy man. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, Keith, I'm a flight attendant. I got some companion passes with you that are about to expire. She gave me a first-class round-trip ticket. 3 months later, I was on Sai Baba's ashram. I brought a tape recorder and I wrote a book about it. I'll send you one. Anyway, the point is,
Oh, wow.
I logged my 2-week journey into a journal. It was beautiful, and I'm glad. I'm just happy. I'm just sharing my heart because I'm happy that you have Sai Baba as a part of your space. That's really cool.
I do. 30 years ago, I had an experience with Sai Baba that I consider experience with him. I wanted a daughter more than anything in the world, and it wasn't happening. But I had a beautiful cat named Grace, and I had a garden in Greenwich Village, and she disappeared, and she was gone for 3 days. And I called out one night to Sai Baba, and I said, okay, I can take it that I'm never going to have a daughter. I do have a daughter now, but you cannot take my cat away from me too. And I was so distraught. And then I went to bed and I heard a tingling coming across the garden. It was my cat's bell. And she was back after being gone for 3 days. And it was Sai Baba. He just dropped her back into the garden.
You know
I don't
what?
know where she
I
was for
love
3
that.
days.
Most people will think, well, that's a really cool coincidence. That's cool. Yeah, no, we're not
No,
saying it. No,
it was
yeah, we're
true.
not. Yeah, we're not saying it's just a coincidence. We know that was an alignment. Yeah, that was a real alignment.
It
No,
was true.
it was more than alignment. If you read and you know about Satya Sai Baba, you will know he is a jokester. He is a trickster. He will play with you. He will
Yep.
monkey with you. He will put you in a situation you got to figure out. So that sounds exactly like what he would do.
Yeah.
That's awesome, girl.
She
That's really
came
awesome.
tinkling right across the garden. Oh, it was so joyful. I have no idea where she was for 3 days. Maybe she was dead. I don't know, but she came back.
Susan, thank you for being here in Center of Light Radio. I would love to have you back. I would love to have you back. I'm just loving your energy, your level of connectivity. It's like experiencing something fresh. Something that reminds me of me. Your connectivity, your word usage. I can feel your punch. I can feel your knowledge base. So basically, all that, I'm patting you back. I thank you. And you're welcome here anytime. Anytime.
And thank you so much, Keith. Many, 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 many blessings to you and all your listeners. And can't wait till this book is till Gavin and you birth this book in 2020. 3,500, 3,500, 3,500.
Please don't let me forget that. It slipped my mind. In fact, why don't you call us both out on some post or something and
Okay.
say something about Gavin
I
is
will.
my
Your Lamaze coach. Your
my
midwife.
Lamaze coach, and you can maybe quote how so, and it's crazy. Thank you, sister. Please keep us in touch. My wall is your wall. Just post it as you need, and whatever you need. Okay, dear.
Bye, Keith.
Do you have a closing statement you'd like to leave us with? I always ask that of my guests. What is a closing statement that we can all glean from? Yeah.
Sure. Take heart, everybody. Remember, you're the creator of your life. It's all good. And even the least of us, even anybody that bugs you or you feel like you're starting to judge, they too carry a spark of the divine. And they too will one day reach the light. So keep heart.
Wow. It's hard. No, I'm going to use those words on purpose. Sometimes it's hard to be soft. Right?
Yep.
Do you live in softness? Do you see the world softly? Are you soft with yourself?
I'm trying.
No,
trying.
I meant that to everyone. I meant that to
Yeah.
myself. Do we see the world as just being soft? Sometimes, aren't we, sister? We're so hard on ourselves. We just want to kick that ass because we had our share of ass kickings.
Many blessings.
Many blessings. Thank you, Susan. You're welcome to be back anytime. Everyone, Susan Plunket, and tonight we're speaking about the ETs are coming, and you're going to love them. Guess who those ETs are? It's you. It's me. It's love in the first, second, and third degree. Together, I hope that we can see things can change. If life is not going the way you consciously choose it, you have to let go of what you think it will take to get you there. Okay? But how do I do that? You're already thinking. You can't get there by thinking. But how do I let go? It is an honest question. It's a beautiful, delicious question. It's your intention, your passion, your sincerity, your impact, your punch in the question. So it's not the question. It's a form of you, these facets of you put behind what you have been calling words in such a question. It's not the question. It's the answer. Do you want the answer? Just turn inward and it automatically by nature shows up. You have to strip the monkey from telling you that it's about effort, struggle, strain, being hard, being right. How do I know I'm right? There's joy that resounds within me, and that should be your gauge as well. Center of Light Radio. See you soon. With all my love, you are loved beyond measure. I have to sign off manually. My screen is frozen. Peace, love, and light.